In this episode, we're going to talk about travel.
Very well.
And you've been to all 50 states.
Yes.
When you go to California, where do you like to visit?
We like to visit Lombard Street so we can walk up
And it,
that steep stairs. It's all steps instead of just sidewalk.
that's in San,
About 7 or 8 turns in one block
that's in San Francisco.
in San Francisco.
And when we get to the top, you can wait for a cable car.
Yes, we can.
Okay. And also north of San Francisco is Muir Woods.
Yes.
And you like to go there.
Yes, I like to go there.
Okay.
And I think that Mr. Muir, he grew up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, John Muir.
John Muir, I think in Marathon County,
Yeah.
which is the largest county in the state.
Okay.
But let's go back to San Francisco. I'm not done looking there yet.
All right.
How's that?
All right.
Now talk about the cable cars. That's an interesting story right there. They've been around for many, many years. And then they wanted to dismantle them years ago. But it was a ladies group that put a stop to that. Otherwise there wouldn't be any cable cars today.
Mm-hmm.
There are 4 lines on the cable cars. And that in the museum, right on the line there, you can get out and go through that museum where everything runs. All four cable lines run out of that building. And the cable that runs it runs at 9 miles an hour. And when they want to go with the car, they pull back on the lever and it clamps onto that belt like a pliers, and that makes it go. And the longest one is the total length of the longest belt is 2 miles. It's very, very interesting.
And let's talk about some of the countries you visited.
Well, one of the closest countries I've visited is Canada. I have friends in Canada. I got friends here.
Yeah?
and one friend is Jim Rolfe and family out there in New Brunswick. That's just out on the east end of Canada, or nearly to the end. And it's very interesting there. It's by St. John. Where was I last time? Oh, I was going to go to my friend Jim Rolfe and family at New Brunswick. And it's on the south end of New Brunswick. And they have an interesting thing there. They have what they call the reversing falls. When the tide comes in, the falls go to the north. When it goes out, the falls go to the south. And some of the highest tides in the world are there at the Bay of Fundy. Routinely, the tides are 30 feet. So it's a very interesting part of the world. But that's about all I know. And then you get further out there to PEI, Prince Edward Island, out there towards Newfoundland, but I don't know anything about that.
Well, let's talk about some other countries you visited. About 8 or so years ago, we went to Greece.
Yes. Greece was very interesting to me because I could walk down the paths of these people that lived centuries ago, Aristotle and Plato and Socrates, people like that, which to me was some big deal. Yes. And we were treated, no matter where we went, all over the world, we were always treated very, very well.
I think when we had booked the trip to Greece, I told somebody that we were going there, an older person, and they said, "Oh, does your father want to go that far?"
Yeah.
And I told him my father would go to the moon tomorrow if they'd let him.
Yeah, he would.
And then another time we went to Cuba.
Yes, that was interesting too. one interesting thing to me was, with all those cars from the 40s and 50s, there was no rust on them. I could not quite understand that right there in the Bay by Atlanta. And all the time we were there in Cuba, we saw 2 or 3 soldiers marching. And that was in front of a big picture of Che Guevara. Is that correct? Yeah. Yes. Then when Fidel Castro was still in charge officially, I think. Shortly after his brother took over.
And we went to the Galapagos Islands.
Yes, that was an interesting place. Now, we're here in southern Wisconsin, and if we went straight south from here, we would run into the Galapagos Islands that are located 500-600 miles out in the Pacific, west of Ecuador. And it's right exactly on the international, not the equator.
Equator.
The equator.
We visited the equator.
We visited the equator. It was there where it was supposed to be. And Nancy and I had a little fun. They had an orange stripe in the building there, represent the equator. And Nancy is standing in the southern hemisphere, and I'm on the north. And we're standing side by side. That's kind of interesting.
And on that trip, we flew into Quito, Ecuador, which was what was the altitude of the runway, the airport?
Yeah, in Quito, Ecuador. The elevation of the runway in Quito is 9,000 feet above sea level, surrounded by high mountains. It is on one of the northern ends, well, not clear north, because they go further than that, but the Andes Mountains. It's right on that chain there, and the Andes Mountains is the longest mountain range in the world. They run some 4,000 miles from Central America to the southern tip of Argentina. From 4,000 miles.
And we saw interesting animals and birds. We saw blue-footed boobies.
We saw blue-footed boobies, yes, and albatross, and I don't know what all else we saw.
And we saw some of those giant tortoises that
Yes.
they live so long that it's possible some of them were still living that were there when Darwin visited.
Oh, yes, yes. They are just enormous, and they eat grass like cattle. Yes.
And then another trip we did was to Morocco.
Morocco was very interesting, yes. We were there, what's the name of the city?
Which one? Casablanca?
Yeah, Casablanca, where they made the film. Yes. And from there we went on a bus tour, a big bus tour,
Into the Atlas Mountains.
into the Atlas Mountains. Yes, it's on the west end of the Sahara Desert. And we had occasion to go out in the Sahara Desert on early morning and watch the sunrise. And then we had a camel, we rode camels away, which is an experience in itself. Very good. Among other things we saw there back out in the country was a tree with about 7 or 8 goats in the tree. They walk up in there and eat leaves. Yes.
few years ago, we went to South Africa. But you had been there once before.
I was in there before. I have some friends in South Africa, in Cape Town, tug-of-war people. And we stayed a day or so with them, and then we went north, and we went over to the East Coast there. And Zimbabwe, I think, was one of the countries, and Botswana, and I forget one other one.
Swaziland is the other one.
Swaziland, okay.
And we saw Victoria Falls.
We saw Victoria Falls, and we saw all kinds of wild animals on our safari tours, and including camels, not camels, giraffes in the wild. Those things are just enormous. Another interesting thing about the giraffes, when they walk, they move both legs on the same side all the time. If they're going ahead and take a step with the left, front and hind leg both work at the same time, and then to the right. But they don't alternate them like normal quadrupeds do. Quadruped, you know, they're more by that. I didn't know if you knew that.
A triped
Triped
would be,
is a three-legged dog.
that would be a funny animal, yeah.
Okay.
And then 2 years ago, right after you were 90, we went to Patagonia.
Yeah, that damn near killed me.
But you landed at Cape Horn. You got off on Cape Horn.
Yes, we got off at Cape Horn. That's the end of the line.
Yep.
Yep.
And we were in the Beagle Channel, and we followed the route that Darwin's ship, the Beagle, took in the 1830s.
Yes. Yes, we did. And the cruise ship we were on had 4 or 5 stories and no elevators. So I was rather in poor physical condition, but I made do anyway. Oh yeah, that's big country down there. And the most traffic I ever saw on one street in my life was in
Buenos Aires.
what?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, yeah. They had a street there, we went down through there with the bus, it was 8 lanes wide, and then they crowded in, so it was 9 across. I thought, wow, we can have it. But it was all interesting, it's all interesting.